to World Crisis Radio, Webster Tarpley in Washington, D.C., running down the evidence arriving in the past 7 to 8 days, massively confirming in spades the thesis advanced in my paper. You see it on tarpley.net. Obama is preparing to bomb Iran. Obama is preparing to bomb Iran. At tarpley.net, 30 pages, 75 footnotes. Read it, otherwise you're simply blind in today's situation, and we'll be supplementing that with this array of new evidence. Ahmadinejad says the U.S. will hit 2 Middle Eastern countries minimum within the next 3 months. Now, you'd never know this from the normal Wall Street-controlled media. The Krauthammer column of today, neocon, of course, on TV, on Fox, on Inside Washington every week. Here's the quote from Ahmadinejad, July 26th. Now, of course, watch out for translations, but it seems to be it. They, the U.S., possibly Israel, have decided to attack at least 2 countries in the region in the next 3 months. Now, that's essentially what that article of mine says. Krauthammer, by the way, is, of course, in the neocon camp. He wants the attack. Rogue regime in Iran, of course, he says, the only hope to get them to reverse course is to relentlessly increase their feeling that if they don't, the Arab states, Israel, the Europeans, and Americans will, one way or another, ensure that ruin is visited on Iran. That's the line from the neocon Krauthammer. We don't also have to just look at hysterical war propaganda, some of it already under the principles of the Nuremberg Code, international conspiracy to launch aggressive war. This Japanese tanker incident in the Straits of Hormuz, a large Japanese tanker, I think of the Mitsui group, an explosion at the waterline, not a mine, too small for that, but still fairly large. This seems to be it's probably the first overt act that we know of so far in this idea of getting an incident going. The false flag incident, the Gulf of Tonkin, would be what? Tanker blows up in the Gulf, or better yet in Hormuz, to block the channel, gets the Anglo-Americans what they want. Oil price doubles, triples, quadruples. You pay, but the dollar is saved. The Japanese tanker incident seems to be a kind of dress rehearsal for what they're going to have to do at a more serious level. And as Krauthammer points out, we've just had the Israeli defense minister here in Washington, D.C. this week, Defense Minister Ehud Barak in Washington, D.C. And when he heard about the Ahmadinejad warning, he says, what is the second country that he's talking about? Very strange answer. By the way, the quote from Shapiro, this is about Obama. Shapiro's quote, he has to find some way between now and November of demonstrating that he, Obama, is a leader who can command confidence, and short of a 9/11 event or an Oklahoma City bombing, I can't think how he would do that. This refers, of course, to this wretched Pavlovian instinct of the U.S. population to rally round the president if something happens, even if the president is the main person responsible for letting it happen or indeed making it happen. Time magazine, Tony Karon, K-A-R-O-N, Thursday, July 29th, yesterday. Isn't it true that the Iran war rhetoric is now building up to become a self-fulfilling prophecy? Quite possible. And he goes through, essentially it's a watered-down, weak-kneed, fragmentary version of some of the things that I have in that essay of my own. So there's an overview. Notice the tendency now is to lift and shift, liquidate the war in Afghanistan, move it into a war with Iran and or Pakistan. Now, whether it's and or is, of course, a big deal. Iran, Pakistan, what to do with them is now the big question among the imperialists, Brzezinskyites, neocons, militarists of all kinds. Imperialists of all stripes are getting into the act on it. but the general idea is that Afghanistan seems to be on the road to being liquidated. Kucinich and Ron Paul were able to force a vote in the House of Representatives where about 100 plus members of the House, eight Republicans, I think, the rest, almost 100 Democrats, want to end the Afghan war. That's 70 more votes for this than they had gotten before, and it indicates that there's a rapid erosion of support for Obama's lunatic military adventure in Afghanistan, which is failing. Again, the 66 body bags this month won't help. There's also the Pentagon report out this morning, $8 billion in Iraq. Now, this is supposedly Iraqi oil money belonging to the Iraqi state, the Iraqi government, that has been embezzled and otherwise stolen. So this simply adds to the general, rejection of this. Some other things that are going on here. Just this morning, Friday, the Wall Street Journal editorial, how the CIA got it wrong on Iran's nukes. Now, remember, the National Intelligence estimate of December 2007, at the low point of the neocon Bush-Cheney faction, the high point of the Brzezinskyites, said, "We judge with high confidence that in fall 2003, Tehran halted its nuclear weapons program," unquote. Here we have Edward J. Epstein, neocon, coming from the first wave of the Kennedy, the Warren Commission, limited hangout debunkers, I guess we can call them, thought to be connected, I think, at one time to James Jesus Angleton. We'll check that one. But his basic thing is, how did they get it so wrong? This is a terrible mistake they made in December 2007. Of course, that 2007 was the idea was to stop Bush-Cheney from attacking Iran, which Cheney had been trying to do in August, September with the rogue B-52, with an obvious case of a false flag attempt, which was shut down. It was stopped, but there was really no blowback because our dear left liberal impotent members of Congress were not even to force an investigation, even though Kucinich had promised in Tucson, Arizona, in March of 2009, that he would have an investigation of the rogue B-52, at least that one, but no. So how did they get it so wrong is the idea from Epstein. So here's the idea. In 2004, a CIA communications officer accidentally sent a satellite transmission to an agent in Iran that blew the cover of every spy the CIA had in Iran. The Iranians monitored the transmission. The Iranians then knew the identity of all the agents that the CIA had arduously maneuvered into position in Iran, the methods they used to communicate and everything else. And all of these people were then became double agents and fed disinformation, and that disinformation became the NIE. Back in a minute.